2. Listen, I'll tell you when. Go.
Good day. My name is Felicia Holder. I am the chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, and you are joining us for another edition of Plain Talk with host Phillip Edward Alexander and co-host Anthony Defour. Today we're discussing the topic, None of This is Normal, when we come back. And we are back, and we are joining studio by Phillip Edward Alexander. Good day to you, sir.
Good day, Felicia. Good day, Trinidad and Tobago.
And Anthony Defour.
Yes, good day, Trinidad and Tobago.
How you find she did on her first intro?
Very good, actually. Well, I mean, a little shaky, but...
A little shaky?
Yeah, but she'll do all right.
It's only when you put them in the hot seat, they realize, you know.
Yes.
I know you have time to go into it, but I had to share this, Somebody shared a post, a picture of Dole, and they say, "Way, look at gold." And Gary Griffith find himself on the post saying, "Yes, millions in gold around his neck, but all he did was fish. He was probably catching goldfish." Yeah, I love Gary. The man just dry, no chill.
On the table.
He said the man catching goldfish. You know what Trinidad need? Trinidad need more straight talk. More. You see the show? This show called Plain Talk for a reason. And Trinidad need more of that. You see, what we get too good at, Tony, Felicia, is hiding from reality. I made a post this morning. Felicia, you say you're going to read it? I'll give it to you to read.
Can you find it?
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm letting my fingers do the work in. Yeah? Yeah, take that.
Yeah.
With
Alright.
your own special spin.
25 murders in 1 week is not normal. Having a prime minister stand accused of treason and still hold on to office is not normal. Police having to kill gang leaders is not normal. Law Association ganging up to remove Chief Justice is not normal. Young girls and women going missing by the day is not normal. The current Attorney General being accused of serial acts of corruption while in office, whilst the last Attorney General is out on bail on corruption charges, is not normal. Daughter of Security Minister being held with a mounting of drugs is not normal. 50,000 illegal guns in circulation, yet the borders remaining wide open for more to come is not normal. An entire business class suspected of drug trafficking on a massive scale and importing to London millions of dirty cocaine dollars is not normal. The Coast Guard routinely failing to guard the nation's coast is not normal. The Director of Public Prosecutions failing to prosecute on one corrupt politician or their associates in crime over the 57 years of our existence, despite every government we have ever had collapsing under mountains of allegations of corruption, is not normal. None of this is normal. Prime Minister and Attorney General photographed in the company of a notorious individual at premises raided 1 week later for having illegal girls, some of them underage minors, being used for sex against their will is not normal. The media not covering that as a massive scandal as free media would have anywhere else in the world is not a normal state of affair. Both the government and opposition are thought to be diseased, corrupt, and untrustworthy by the largest cross-section of people. That is not normal. The media peddling lies to the highest bidder, ganging up to block an entire political movement and deny citizens their rights to political expression is not normal. Banks holding foreign exchange from average citizens to prevent online shopping while 1% businesses getting all the foreign exchange they need to fill their shelves at gouging prices is not normal. 500 murders a year for over 2 decades is not normal. Having an entire population expecting riots or states of emergency with each passing day as the new normal is not a normal state of affairs. None of this is normal.
Now, if you let people add to that, we will be talking about what is not normal whole day. You could pick anything from that and have a conversation. Anything.
Nothing works.
And talk it plain.
Yeah.
Now, if you bounce up trainees in a bar, beside the road, in the gym, at work, and they talk and they tell you how they really feel, you know, if you do a poll of Trinidadians, do you think anything works in this country? They can't say, they can't think of something. They're hard pressed to defend the political party they're supporting, and they're only supporting it out of desperation and fear of the other party. This is what the Cambridge Analyticas, and whichever version of Cambridge Analytica the PNM used to turn that snarling Rottweiler into a genteel soul for 2015. Because Cambridge Analytica did not invent political brinksmanship and bullshit. They're not the first spin doctors. They won't be the last. Don't be fooled. Keith Rowley and Daryl Smith dancing on a stage in Diego Martin West was as choreographed as just about anything. We need our people in Trinidad and Tobago to come back to the center. To come back to wait a minute. I am a Trinidadian and Tobagonian first, and my country, regardless of which of these jackass farms we vote into office, just keeps getting worse. It's like a race to the bottom.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And again, like I said, it does not matter what subject matter that you choose to talk about as to what Phyllis just read. Again, there's nothing on the ground in Trinidad and Tobago that can show that we have any type of efficiency, anything working, anything making sense of that matter. So again, what are we actually doing here as a nation, as a citizenry? And we are, like I say, Phillip, we're still running down red and ready and yellow and steady. And we have the proven facts to show that the population, the citizenry, 57 years come and gone, and we, the people, still haven't gotten any kind of benefit for all the talk and all the promises and all the this, that, and the other. Yeah, you know, we can go right back to Manning. He talked about 2020 vision. We are 5 months away from the year 2020. Where are we as a nation? What was all that rhetoric and talk all about?
Bullshit.
Exactly.
It's all bullshit. It's all finely crafted, soft and runny bullshit. That's what they do. That's the job. The fact that Hema Ramkisoon and Fazir Mohammed are not ripping the Prime Minister a brand new one over him being photographed with a whoremonger in the whoremonger's whorehouse 1 week before little girls were rescued who were being used for sex, human trafficking. The fact that that is not the top story tells you CNC3 and TB6 are purveyors of bullshit. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. And if the word is upsetting you, go and find a church where the priest or the imam or the pundit have the balls, belly, and backbone to tell you that your life is crap because your country is run by people engaged in the fine art of bullshit. That's all it is. It's a bullshit nation because we allow these people. I mean, Johnny O'Halloran wasn't the only bandit in Eric Williams' PNM, but he was the worst of the lot. Ish Galbaran Singh wasn't the worst bandit in Pandey's UNC, but he was the worst of the lot. Calder Hart wasn't the worst bandit in Patrick Manning's, whoever that was, but Calder was the worst of the lot. When Kamala ended up with SIS who had to run to Panama after the election, they weren't the worst, but they were the most notorious. And now we have a Syrian cabal led by a big head Oompa Loompa that is making a mockery of due process and democracy. And we're standing by saying, you have Ish, we had Calder, you have Johnny, well, stop the bullshit. Stop it. Come back to center, because unless Calder, Ish, Johnny or the Syrian cabal giving you a check at the end of their banditry, stop it. They are robbing you. They are robbing your children. You live in squalor, especially the Ghettorians. When Keith Rowley went on stage and said black people weren't doing well, black people should have stoned him. They should have pelted him with anything they had in their hand for having the indecency and the audacity to pretend he wasn't responsible.
Thank you very much. And the audacity to act like he cares.
Yeah.
When he is responsible for why we are where we are.
His administration, for the length and breadth of the time they have been in that parliament, having control, we say all the time, economic control, social control, political control, they had the reign over this country for the greater part
But
of
the
our
country was
existence.
catching its ass. We had no money. They couldn't help black people. You can't blame Eric. You can't blame Manning. You can't blame Panda. You can't blame Rowley. You can't blame Kamala. The country is a poor-ass, sketch-ass country. It's not like we had $3 trillion.
So it's only now that
It's
they
not like we
realize-
had 2 oil booms. It's not like we had more money in this country in one 50-year period than all of the Caribbean put together. It's not like that. You know why they hate us? You know why the rest of the Caribbean hate us? You know why Jamaica and Guyana and Barbados happy to see us suck salt? Because we nasty and we whine in their face when we had oil money. It's not like we didn't have more money than God. Trinidad had a cocoa boom, a sugar boom, and an oil boom. 2 and a gas boom.
And I guess, yeah.
Where's all that money? The rest of the Caribbean know that if they had the pitch lake, all of the Caribbean would be doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a pitch lake and nobody know where that money is. We know for a fact that each and every prime minister who's ever held the office has been a crook, a criminal, a gangster, a old thief. Kamala, Rowley, Manning, Pandey, Williams, all of them a bunch of bandits. We know that. We know Rowley guilty as sin over landed. We know that. We know everything Emil Elias and Rowley did in Tobago was banditry. We know that. But we live in a country where AV Oil and Nazim Bash and all of them could get off on a technicality and the DPP could say, don't blame my office. So who's to blame, Mr. Gaspard? You're riding the reins of an office that for 57 years has had the role and the responsibility to stop corruption in the country, and not one. Not a half a one. Or you couldn't have break off a piece of a politician and charge that with all this money stolen, with all this banditry that has taken place in this country. Roger. So what is the role of the Director of Public Prosecution's office in this country? If we can't blame your office, if we can't blame the DPP's office, and we can't blame the courts, and we can't blame the justice system, somebody just say, and I was going to share that. Boy, don't blame nobody now. This is normal for this country. Nothing don't work. Nothing works.
Very true.
I still waiting for them to unseal the Commission of Inquiry that then Justice Anthony Carmona did before he was elevated to president. Because that's a very instructive Commission of Inquiry. And it touches on some very salient issues. And there's a reason people don't trust the tool that is a Commission of Inquiry, because have you ever made the mistake of plugging an extension cord into itself? I've done that. I've done that. I've plugged my phone to charge, but not plugged the charger into the socket. I've done that. I wondered why my phone not charged. I've done that. And that's Trinidad. A Commission of Inquiry in this country is a tool to Bacchanal, to sell some papers for Sabga and Guardian and Express. And after that, what? More bullshit. Nobody at the top ever pays for their crimes. So enter into that a Gary Griffith that is willing to say, no, stop giving the gangsters contracts. You have a jackass of a prime minister that's defending it. In the United States of America, there's a list called the usual suspects. New York City. If you get your name on that list, they could bar you from using a plane.
Yeah.
You know that? You could actually end up on a list in America, not convicted of anything called no-fly list. Don't let that one on a plane. Because you can't be trusted. That if we're giving money to people who are criminals, who are using that money to buy guns, to kill other innocent people, the state is actually funding the murder of the citizens with taxpayers' funds.
Yes.
How do you get the average Joe, Jenny, and Jackass to understand that? That it is us, it is we the people that keep making it happen, and it is we to fix it.
Yes, it is us to fix it. No matter what we do, at the end of the day, we can talk all the talk, but if the people cannot really open their minds and understand what is being said to them, where they are positioned in life in Trinidad and Tobago as a citizen, with all the systems broken, I mean, I don't even know what to say again,
There are
because
people in South that have been granted bail by magistrates, but there's no JP in South to grant the bail, so they're stuck in the system. So they granted bail, but the system does not have a JP to accept the bail. So the state is now engaged in false imprisonment of all of those people who are ready to pay bail and can't come out of jail. Now in Trinidad, everybody say, leave them there. And that's exactly how they feel until it's their child. Only them innocent. Everybody else inside of there guilty.
Very true.
And that is the bullshit again of this country. Because they've divided us so properly against each other that we don't know how to stand up for each other and say, you know what? I don't even care if I don't like how his hair does look or how low he does wear his pants. He's still innocent until proven guilty. I don't care if I don't like who he does line with, the kind of music he does listen to. He's still innocent until proven guilty. And that if he has been granted bail, the state has a responsibility to either accept the bail or let him out the jail. We are trampling on people's human rights and civil liberties in this country, and nobody's talking about it. How could an entire justice system fail to appoint a JP? How? How is that possible? Mr. Chief Justice, where is the JP for South? Where? And because 1.4 million people don't show up outside the Hall of Justice, or outside the DPP's office, or outside the Prime Minister's office, these people get away.
Yeah, very true.
Because they're all public servants, being paid with taxpayers' dollars. Little mommy and granny who working, mopping floor for KFC, the tax that we charging her, paying your salary. Do the job, no man. Do the job. Pretend it was your child or a friend of the family. Because if it was an Abu or a Sammy inside of there, they find somebody to take the bail.
They're done out already.
Okay.
They would have even reached the jail.
Okay. So let's get to a point where Trini stop talking that little piece of bullshit the way I just phrased it and say, let's get a government that makes sure that everybody have the same rights.
Right. Correct.
Justice is supposed to be blind. Everybody's supposed to be treated the same way.
Very true.
How do we get to there?
Very true.
How do we get to there? How do we make judges accountable? How do we make magistrates accountable? How do we create a system where you can make a formal complaint against judges and magistrates in this country and have them fired? How do we get to there? Vote a government that is not part of anybody's gang. I know it sounds radical to you to look up and think, wait a minute, for my country to be this badly off, all of these people in all of these offices have to be incompetent, non-functional, malfunctional, dysfunctional, or just corrupt. Which is it?
I would go with corruption.
Nothing works. Nothing. We do not have a JP in South.
Yeah.
I mean, the insanity of knowing that the justice system stands on that leg. Bail. You've been granted bail, but we cannot accept your bail. And that is the madness of Trinidad and Tobago, that the rest of the people don't see your child as if it's their child.
True.
Remember an interview with Mother Teresa? And they ask her, how do you do the things that you do every single day? And she say, I am playing a game of hide and seek with Christ. I look for him behind the face of everybody I serve. And that stuck with me because I realize when I see somebody in trouble and I hear about somebody in need, I see that as my mother, my father, my child, my cousin, my brother, my sister. I see that as I see them in the situation. And how I feel is how I act.
Well done. Well done.
I think that's where we fall short as a society. I think we're so selfish and so hypocritical that we only see within our scope of things. So when you study the fact that the average Trinbagonian is one heart attack, one cancer news, one accident away from being nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. A cancer treatment, when I went to get insurance back in 2010, my agent recommended that I get no less than $350,000 in cancer coverage, because that's how much it takes to beat cancer
Correct.
here. Think about the average Trinbagonian who does not have insurance, whose savings can't even cover a month's worth if they had to stop working.
Yeah.
And if people started to think, less than that, if people started to think along those lines, I think you would find a lot less selfish people in the society, because we'd realize that we all in the same sinking ship, you know.
Yeah.
Some of us,
No, we have false pride.
and that's it too, we have a lot of false pride. Some of us act and portray a life that is better than others. And like you say, we look down on those who in jail. Oh, that's not me, that's not my life, that's not my family.
Police would not lock him up if he didn't do something.
Exactly.
That's the bullshit we talk. We have a 3% conviction rate. That means 97% of the people were innocent or the system couldn't prosecute them. But yet we walk around thinking, unless it happened to somebody we love. You just said something there, and I want to tell you, it hit me hard, because I still can't process that phone call 2:15 that morning when my sister called to tell me that they rushed my sister to hospital and she didn't make it. The second part, she didn't make it, I still don't have that process.
Yeah.
You never believe it can happen to you or somebody you love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't process, I still can't process the fact that that happened in my family. That she was rushed to hospital and she didn't make it. Everything that went on from there in my family felt like insanity. We stood in a hospital room with my sister's dead body, her children and my parents for hours. And it was such a difficult thing. And when you say that, and I'm telling you, because all the work that we do and I do, I still don't expect that it would happen
To you.
so close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What Felicia just said, I was watching a show this morning, there was this guy on the show, and I dreamt last night. So that's why I ended up thinking about this when I was watching the show. I dreamt last night of Wendell O'Geese. He's my sister's husband's best friend for years. And he had his farewell party at home this week. He's on his way out, dying at 53, and there's nothing they could do for him. And if you only know this boy, how strong, how powerful with his views. I mean, he's literally, he don't need no help from nobody. And he's reduced. I didn't go, my sister's talking about how big his eyes are now in his frail, broken body. And that's not the guy I remember. And I see this other person on TV this morning, and cancer has literally sucked him dry. You could see death in his face. And just a little while before, he was such a vibrant person, and we never think that this could happen to us. Have we put things in place for our loved ones? Did we use our time correctly? Because now we're getting ready to go. We didn't make it. We're not making it. We have a death sentence. Our expiry date is upon us. Did we fix for those we're leaving behind? You think it even dawns on people? You said just now, most people are one paycheck away from madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are living paycheck
One
to paycheck.
paycheck away from madness. Your rent always late, your installment. I remember I had a loan with the bank years ago, and me and the people from Scotia, the reminder people, we were friends.
You remind the people.
What else calling you?
Well,
constant?
but yeah, constantly.
Every month, Mr. Alexander say, "Oh, it's that time." You know you're late, yeah. And you're stretching that $1 to meet ends that dollar can't meet, and you're still trying. So I could appreciate. I mean, there was a time I lost everything, and I could appreciate the madness of nothingness. There's a void, Tony. There's a void. And if you ever experience it, people who know real poverty will appreciate the void of nothing that you could turn to. Nothing.
This is very true.
Wait, there's a void where you think that there would be people. Wait and say, hey boy, don't you mad? You can't be hungry for 3 days. Look some money.
But you're going and there's nobody there.
You get invisible.
There. Yeah. That's real.
You get invisible.
That is real, brother. That is real.
When you could no longer be of benefit to everybody else,
Yeah.
you get invisible. Your false pride is kicking in hyperdrive.
Listen, you know for fact, in a time in your life like that, who are truly your friends from who are not. And you look, you have family members that turn their back on you. That this is blood. You know what I mean? I found myself in the same position, you know, in a chapter of my life. And that is exactly what I had to experience, to think that I had friends and family that I thought was for me.
Yeah.
That would have ensured that I would not fall by the wayside.
No, man.
These were people that passed by the said wayside, saw me on the ground, man, and went their way.
No, man. Hey,
Went their way. And
Pray-
it's so funny where
pray you never experience what
the
he tell you.
people who you least expect to even look your way, it's unreal that these are the people that actually show themselves to be true, to be real. Very, very far few and in between, eh?
And Tony, that's why people ask me, I have a special hate for those that have shortcut life, broken the system, took advantage of any opportunities to disadvantage others, the criminals. And I ain't talking about the people who hungry on the bottom, who went and thief a box of Pampers, 2 tin of corned beef and some cricks for their family. Because I'm telling you something, there comes a time when you're hungry enough and you're desperate enough, when it seems like the only option. Man born to survive.
And I'm really glad that you said that, because I mean, we had an incident, when was it, earlier this year, last year, where we had that lady who broke into Massey stores and stole
food.
stole the food. I remember
Yeah.
that sparked like a nationwide debate for those who could understand where this woman came from, and then those who could not understand
The nastiness of the
where
people who shame
they
her.
came from. And I listened to some of the
nastiness
people
of
who
that.
shamed her, and I thought of those same people who would go around defending people
No, but
in
imagine-
public office right now.
No, but if some of those same people had reached,
Her level of desperation.
but you see, that's the delusion. We walk around thinking it could never happen to us. You could never lose your job.
Exactly.
Your bank account could never run out. You could never have the landlord knocking on the door and you have the children, 3 months rent. You know they're gonna put you out. Where you gonna take them and go? There have a lot of those people who pretend to tell the same guy, Wendell Ogie, he's a multi-billionaire. He used to own fitness companies. He was the man who used to import all the treadmills and bikes for all the gyms. I mean, he was doing well. Big store in Westmall, massive store where Digicel and thing is now. And you'll lose everything. Those same people who shame now, I will never forget my father telling me when I was a little boy, when I saw my first vagrant, it frightened me, and my father telling me, there go I, but for the grace of God. And I will never forget that statement. That could be anybody.
It could. It really
I'm
could.
glad that you brought up that story about that lady.
And the funny thing is, the same people who shame that woman are the same people who agreed and will agree with the Prime Minister that African people not doing well, yet refuse to look at that same Prime Minister and his cabinet and the Prime Minister
Call
before
them
that
out.
and the ones before that who contributed to the fact that African people are doing poorly.
Yeah.
Those are the same people who
You think Rowley Donos Church Young is a son of a bitch? That what's going on in Belmont right now is a criminal act of betrayal.
he knows.
Those are black people that are not doing well in Belmont. Does Keith Rowley know that Fitzgerald Hines is doing nothing for poor black people in Laventille who are not doing well? Who are these black people that Keith Rowley talking about who not doing well? I hear Gypsy Peters, Winston Gypsy Peters agreeing little black boys not doing well. I'm wondering if they went and sit down in Fatima grounds, in the stands, and look at Fatima College and then look at Mokorapo and try to explain how a ribbon of tar could separate a prestige school from a failed school. You think Rowley have that kind of compassion for the black people he talking about? You think he really gives a shit, or is this just electioneering time and it's time to whip the black vote behind the PNL?
This morning I went to buy coffee, and I'm there dealing with the girls behind the cash register, and it's not even a race thing, but it is a race thing, and these are things that we fail to, or we pretend not to notice, because that same comment that you made about Fatima separating Mokorapo, when you look at the percentage of people going Fatima versus Mokorapo, you see it as well, and it carries its way all through life. I'm watching these pretty little black girls behind the counter in a business owned by a Syrian, and I'm wondering, when am I ever going to walk into a business and see the reverse in this country? And when are we going to acknowledge that something is clearly wrong if we have such a high percentage of African people, according to this Prime Minister, not doing well, versus a small percentage who are clearly thriving, who have access to foreign exchange?
Under the PNM, black people are not entitled to nothing. Under the PNM, black people have to hold the bottom rung, because black people cannot conspire and pay PNM ministers the kickback and corruption that they want. The Kabbalists behind the PNM and the UNC are criminals, These people plan their crime and go and sit with prime ministers and ministers and work out the details of building a house that costs $200,000 and charging the state $1 million and splitting the difference. And those people like Keith Rowley, criminal. He's a criminal. Your prime minister is a con artist. He needs to be charged for treason. That's your prime minister. He went into the parliament with a document that he knew to be fraudulent. And to those who say maybe he didn't know, fire him for that. Because he had a responsibility to check. Yesterday, I had to tell a welder on a job site who was working, and the bottle of oxygen ran out. And he said, boss, they put the wrong bottle in the van. And I said to him, yeah, but it's your job to check.
Yep.
Well said.
You gotta know.
Yeah.
That's your role. That's what the salary is for. That's what the big money is for. Rowley was the opposition leader. So they can't bullshit me with that. For all the thing you want to think about Kamla and Anand and Suroj and Gopi Singh and the rest of them, and trust me, they have plenty things to think about them. But that's no justification for Rowley being able to commit an overt act of treason. To try and incite the population into violence to overthrow the democratically elected government of the day.
But that was the cornerstone of his entire campaign, Emil Gates, and now to come, 4 years later and say, I wasn't sure and I thought it was true.
But where are the systems that's going to ensure it take him to task for that? Where are the systems? That's the question. Because he cannot walk out of that parliament and continue with his life as normal and that be okay.
So why the director of public prosecutions is not prosecuting the prime minister for treason? Why the speaker of the house has not revoked the prime minister's privileges from the parliament until he is cleared? Why is there no media outcry for an investigation? Where are all of these systems?
Broken.
That's not enough. That's not enough. How is it broken? You ever see how a little child is asking questions? Why? Until they get to the point where it makes sense to them?
Yeah.
How does this make sense?
Yeah.
How does it make sense that nobody in this country has responsibility to oversee the actual operation of the country? How does high-level white-collar criminality like this get to happen? So you don't think Dole and Bulls and Sandman and all of them grew up watching Eric Williams and Manning and Pandey and all of them gone like criminals and say, you know what, crime pays.
Yeah.
And if
That
you
is what
kick,
they say. That's what they say. They see criminality happening on a shirt and tie level, and they're asking if these men can get away with it. Who are we?
now you know who they are? They're foolish. When Berkey Burke and Berkey Burke, your expiry date must be coming up. They must be done, have that clock ticking. Doles and Bulls and Sandman, any all you taking picture and all your goal, the real criminals in society laughing at all you was supposed to take that money, invest it into high yield bonds and come and join the Chamber of Commerce.
Indeed. Where
If
you
you-
can steal an air condition, stealing the comfort of
Listen,
luxury, and
Posing with gold, come on, man. The real attire for a successful criminal is a tie.
shirt and tie.
Get
Crisp.
yourself a nice. Well, who's make ties now? I don't even know.
Nice BCBG tie or
You see, I don't even know
something.
the hell that is. I was nearly gonna say Michael Kors, but I don't know if he's make man
Listen,
clothes.
Michael Kors is not everything.
That's the only name I know.
No.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
but come on, now, man. What have you done, Ketos, for black people
Man,
lately?
I love that
want-
question. I
wanna
love
know.
it.
Man slap.
I wanna know.
The man has slapped
Catman.
black Trinidad
Listen,
and Tobago.
people, a man tell me this morning, he say, I am not Prime Minister material. Keith Rowley pelt a cup and knock out a next MP in the parliament, Chandra Sharma. That is Catman. That is the man who want to groom everybody pastures.
Then
That is the
Keith
man who
Rowley-
went out the parliament and tell Monilara wearing me shit.
I was about to say that. He didn't try to fight somebody
Rowley
else.
boy, I wish. God is my witness. I wish you tried that shit with me. I'll kick so much shit out of you, you get shorter than Colm. Trinidadians taking your chain up foolishly.
Yeah.
Trinidadians take. I want to ask you, Rowley. You say black people not doing well. You are the Prime Minister. What are you doing for them, sir? In
Very
the
good.
4.5 years that you've been Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, what have you done for black people? You've been the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin West for 33 years. It took 20 years to build a fishing village, for a fishing market for Caranage Fishing Village. Yet you were able, as Prime Minister, the stroke of a pen, to deliver stadiums and pressure washing contracts to wives and friends of finances.
Don't forget to raise his
Yeah,
pension.
What have you done for black people, Keith, to change the condition of black people who are not doing well? Keith, who are you trying to tell them is responsible for the fact that black people are not doing well? When the PNM has had control of this country, 30 unbroken years from independence until they were routed by the NAR. And then certain people involved in the PNM were involved in an actual attempted coup in this country. Where was your leader then on that day? Why don't we know that? Why wasn't he prosecuted for his involvement in any way? Keith Rowley, what have you done to change the conditions of black people in Trinidad and Tobago? What? What has your party done? 42 of the 57 years that Trinidad has had independence, you all have had financial control. You've had legislative control. You've had social control. You've had cabinet control. You've had parliament control. What have you used all of that power for to help black people? Keith Rowley, what? What did you do for the black people in Tobago when you and your friends shut down the Port Authority and destroyed the sea bridge to benefit financiers? While they sucked salt and suffered, while black people's businesses went out of business, what did you do for those black people then, Keith Rowley? What? What are you doing? What are you doing legislatively to beat the corruption and drug dollars out of real estate, artificially putting the prices of housing so high that bank workers can't afford to buy a house in this country anymore? What are you doing for black people, Ketos? What are you doing to secure the nation's borders, to stop the drugs and the guns that have little black boys killing one another in the streets like dogs? What? When you say black people not doing well, Keith Rowley, which black people? And why you think that this might be so? Why? You see, I don't know if we could ask the question enough times to expose you, you stunting son of a bitch, for the all hat and no cowboy that you are. But I hope black people in Trinidad and Tobago heeds Fitzgerald Hines' advice and fixes their minds so they could kick the PNM out of government permanently, so that the legislature and the cabinet and the parliament and the treasury could actually begin to work for all the people in this country. That the same justice that Nazim Bash just enjoyed, all the little black boys languishing in the jail today who can't come out on bail because they can't find a lawyer, or they can't find the money, or they can't even find the JP, could have the same benefits. Kitos. When you stand up and you talk your shit for the media to copy and paste, I hope the rest of black Trinidad and Tobago see you for what you are.
Well said, brother. I have to say, because that's my peeve right there. You can't have an administration having such reign as you spoke about before in a nation with such wealth, so many booms, and the key people that they say that they're supposed to be standing for are the same ones that are on the lowest rung of society. That makes no sense. And again, I would say for Keith Rowley or Fitzgerald Hines or anybody from the PNM for that matter to come out and telling the population that black people are at a disadvantage, that they come now, man, you're slapping people, you're slapping them in the face.
I learned this morning that Portugal is one of the largest producers of rice in the world.
Imagine that.
I know that.
Imagine that.
I think India and Sri Lanka and
would have been
Pakistan,
holding that
Yeah.
race.
places with dark-skinned people sticking their toe in the ground and they hole.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. No, I swear, that's the image of the illusion. Portugal, a first world
Yeah.
nation, is one of the largest producers of rice in the world. And all of our fertile farmland growing razor grass.
Yeah.
And
That's what it's for,
leased out of friends and finances.
funny that you talk about
Black people don't like farming, Tony.
Oh, you mean they don't like
They don't like farming. Because he could have make land available to them. They say black people don't like to farm.
What are you doing?
I
Not really.
get it.
She's speaking for the whole race. She was at the last meeting and the point was raised and he said no thanks.
There was a consensus.
We don't want to get in the panic.
we don't like that. We don't like to get
Yeah.
our toes dirty.
Yeah, madness. It's just
That was the first time I ever, and it probably might never happen again, I agreed with Fitzgerald Hines when he said that black people need to fix their minds. I agree. And the day we fix our minds and we change our mindset, we would look at what we have been choosing for the past 56
No,
years.
but baby girl, let's talk about
there
this.
would be no
Baby
more
girl.
PNM.
You raised the issue just now.
Sure.
The disproportional allocation of the races in the jails and the prestige schools. Those two ends. Let's have that conversation.
Let's talk.
Because what
none
are
of
they
that is normal.
But what are they suggesting? That black people are stupid and corrupt and criminal? Is that what the system says? That black people can't get prestige education? Now, when you go into St. Andrew's School in Fairways and Don Ross in West Moorings, and you look at the racial allocation of the pupils on that fast track to the prestige system, what do you see? You see, Trinidadians need to understand when they bump in the gums and they want to call people stupid and go and fix their mother and their father and the community and where they're coming from. I want them to know that the person that they're talking to, Phillip Edward Alexander, has a lot of fact. I have a lot of information. And you don't end up in a common entrance or a SCA system, Jesso. You start off in a primary school. And if the PNM and the UNC could shut down a primary school on the corner of Polkaroo and Trackrate that has been there 50 years longer than we've been independent, just because they know the property is perfect for some 1% to pass and buy, like they did with St. Michael's School, which they shut down, and I don't know where they send the little black children. But the disproportional allocation is social demographics in the courts and in the jails and in the prestige schools and on the boards of directors and in the Chamber of Commerce. What does it say about black people?
We're obviously stupid and we don't care to learn.
Underperforming?
We're clearly. No, I'm being very sarcastic.
But you have to be, but UNC might cut and paste and use it. But don't get frightened. But that's what they do. But when you're black and you go into the bank And he said, I'd like to borrow money to start a business because I'm making sugar cake and people say my sugar cake is the best in the world. You know, this is how Lockjack and Poon Tip start Sunshine Snacks. This is how the Gonzalez family was able to buy holiday foods from the Charles family who bought it from others. There's a history to everything, and everything that you think that is a big brand in the world start off somewhere in somebody's kitchen, like KFC. A poor white man who couldn't live on his pension was going around from gas station to gas station with a pressure cooker doing something called pressure frying with herbs and spices. And that became KFC worldwide. McDonald's was 4 stores owned by the McDonald brothers. The man who used to supply them with milkshakes realized this could be big. Their system making sense. He invests with them and then he buy them out. A fellow by the name of Ray Kroc. But you have to understand and you have to ask the question, where do our Ray Krocs go for money? Steve Jobs and Steve Wachowski, whatever that last name, he should have changed that, who formed Apple, were making circuit boards in a garage. And it is only until people with money came and said, all right, let me do a thing. They'll still be there to this day, eating apples. Because that's all Steve Jobs could have afforded. They were suffering. He used to live in an orchard, work there, and eat apples. That's how it ended up named Apple Computer. He had to drop out of school. He couldn't afford it. Read his story. But everything big in the world, everything started somewhere. Where do our black Steve Jobs get finance? Where?
Abroad.
Manning take $100 million and create an IT park in Intech, wherever, in Waterfield, for the bush and the monkeys to eat now.
Yeah.
What that could have done for the black people that Rowley say not doing well? What? How does the average black man get to tell his story? CNC3 and TV6 like to wait for you to be sleeping on Independence Square crying tears, your children, you can't mind them. So some good Samaritan could come along and rescue you after the police arrest you for selling popcorn in San Fernando. And Keith Rowley knows that they lock up black vendors on the side of the road but allow Kiss Baking Company to do as they please because Keith Rowley gets an email from me every single time I raise that issue. And he knows and he's aware and he sees. And I know that he listens to me because a lot of the words that come out his mouth first started in mine. Because he's a thief. But what do black people in Trinidad and Tobago, where do they go? You've had a rough start. You're living in poverty. You're going to a shit school primary. Then you pass for a shittier school secondary. And the Prime Minister say, all you is hyenas in a wild animal jungle, wild African jungle. So forget about all you. So you fail out because mommy can't make the money to pay the taxi to bring you to school. And now you're outside there and you have no choices. And your partner who wearing the gold telling you can make all the money with me, you know. You see, that's how it happens. And it's as simple as that. And while some of you who have had a fortunate life, whose children will never have those choices to make, could sit in judgment and cast aspersions, if you really walked a mile in some of these people's shoes, you will realize the extent of the jackass that your Prime Minister, this one and the last one will. And you'll start to vote more sensibly. Yes, I know it's hard to hear me talk the way I talk, but this is my way of shaking you awake to the reality of what's going on in this country. Nobody chooses to be homeless. Nobody chooses to be drug addicted. Nobody chooses to fail out of life and end up in criminality and end up in the revolving door of our justice system. Trinidad and Tobago has a 2-tier education system, prestige and failed, and the failed ones have a classroom to a jail cell pipeline. And the Prime Minister could fix that if he wanted to, but instead chooses to stunt and bullshit for the media and say black people not doing well.
Last week we had the protests in Sealots over the killing of Dole and Sandman, and I listened and I watched people on social media say all kind of things about these people. Oh, they're only protesting when it's a drug lord get killed, and I listen to the things people say, but I don't think a lot of them realize that is a very sad indictment on the government if it is people within that community could protest and be so distraught when a community leader gets killed and by law enforcement. And what a lot of these people don't understand is they look up to these people as wrong as the lifestyle that they live is, as wrong as what they're doing is, they look up to these people because they have learned not to expect anything from the government.
Felicity, there are people in the middle class who talking about them would protest if Gary Griffith went and shoot Republic Bank. Because it's the same thing.
It is.
That Doles and Bulls is the person that they go to get their money, to get the way to feed their family.
Yeah.
If you found out that Gary Griffith and the police went and shoot the bank that you bank with, or the credit union, or the company that you work for, it's the same thing.
Yes,
Exactly.
it is.
And what is the indictment there is that Doles and Bulls and Sandman and the Berkey Burks and all of this could rise and prosper in this country where the peer them has had social, economic and financial control and have relegated black people to live in the bush,
And
live in the dumps.
I always had that question. We make jokes about Marlene and Berkey and stuff, but I always thought I don't have a problem. If you have friends, you're friends with a gangster.
Friends in low places.
If you have friends in low places, that's your business, Marlene. But what I don't understand is you've been friends with this man for so long. What have you done to uplift him and his community?
Ah, I like that. I like
He
that.
is in and
Why do
out
you
of
think that
jail.
Marlene is the uplifter? Why do you think she cares? Marlene is Calabar Foundation.
No, because
Marlene takes state money and gives she lover to form a community center that never exists.
Yeah, Phillip, I know we being sarcastic.
No, I
and
tell
we-
you the
and
truth,
we-
yeah.
Yeah, I
Calabar
know,
and Carew. She just lie down in the night and whisper sweet nothing into his ears. Baby, what you do with the money we take from the state? Kima can't talk about that. Because Sabga will have to fire her. Because Sabga requires state funds to keep CNC3 and Guardian Media and keep the engines running. Because in a real country, the FIU would have gone on our Sabga. Hey, Dole and the Range Rover.
How come nobody asked where that
Was
money
that
come
cash?
from? If it's cash
Which
money.
account did he pay that?
But this is it. This is it.
Was it
Don't-
a manager's check?
Don't worry about banking, partner. That's why you had to love Gary. Gary say yes. He fishing for goldfish. All you can vex till all your belly bust. Cry blood. I telling you, this country have to wake the hell up. Nothing works. You read. None of this is normal. Your prime minister stands accused of treason. The entire law fraternity is trying to remove the chief justice over bedroom politics, it seems. Where are we going? Where are we going as a nation? If you, the voter, don't take this thing seriously, and I mean take it seriously enough to say, you know what? And I said to somebody today, I said, I don't care if they don't like me, you know. As long as they vote sensibly in the next election, that's all I care about. I want them to know that I am not trying to please their sensibilities, but I would like to fix the country. And all of the issues that we raise, I want to shock them and jar them. Because the Chamber of Commerce in Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association and organizations like them in this country, DOMA, Gregory Aboud using his position for life as head of DOMA. But Gregs, I want you to hear me, you know. Progressive Empowerment Party, we will move all the government offices out of town. We will start a new town that you can't be the head of. So that you will have to stand up downtown as the head of the Merchants Association and play small goal with each other.
Oh, God.
Because you know it doesn't work, you know, Gregs. You know, and I know that you know. And that you use that little position as a tin pot 1%er to massage your own ego. We get it. But partner, we have a whole country to save. And that's not just about you.
You gotta love it, Trinidad and Tobago. Listen, I love the show today.
I love the show
swear.
today.
I swear. Very animated.
When Raul is saying, let we be real, black people are doing well.
Yeah,
I
be
say,
real.
Kitos, I join in
sure?
with that conversation. I not the media. I get to answer you. Black people not doing well. I have been saying that. Thank you for reaching the conversation.
I noticed
Now
he said that after our show, though, huh? I noticed he said that after our
take responsibility.
show. I noticed he said that after our 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 show. I noticed he said that after
Our show with
show that we
Matara,
had with
yes,
Matara
of
and
course.
What do you think? They're not watching? They're watching.
And I feel like
But when the show get 50,000 views,
This is it. They're watching. They're watching. They're hearing. They're under. Listen, we are reaching out to the population at large, and the population coming on shows like this and other formats that we have. What do you think? Both UNC and PNM, they're
But
listening and knowing
Keithos,
what
and
is
according to
happening.
Phillip Keithos,
Yeah.
the difference is we are pointing out these issues. You are, however, in a position to be doing something about these issues, and you're not.
so
So
perfectly.
don't
right.
raise an ant's nest. if
Don't
you can't.
come on.
Yeah.
Miss us with the bullshit.
Miss
If
us,
you think black
please.
people not doing well, follow that on with as Prime Minister,
Sir.
as of today, I resolve to do these things
I sign on this line
Yeah.
to do X, Y,
Exactly.
Z
But
for
that
black
comes-
people.
to help black people do well.
When they come on a public radio or television talking about decriminalization of marijuana in June, look, we in July. Was there any other
You know
talk
why I was
pertaining to
good at
that?
him? Tony, you know why I was good at him? Because there were a lot of surveys and a lot of information to be done. St. Anne's Medical Center, the madhouse, could tell you that most of the cases of schizophrenia and psychosis in Trinidad and Tobago are marijuana induced. So you have to be careful how you're dealing with this, and they can't handle it. They don't know what they're dealing with. There are types of alcohol. If you drink it, you'll go blind. You'll go blind. And it is the purpose and the responsibility of the state. If you're going to decriminalize, which is what they did for alcohol.
Right.
Alcohol is still illegal.
Correct.
Yeah.
Cigarettes are illegal,
Yes.
but they decriminalize. And when you decriminalize something, you put systems in place to describe how you can lawfully
Right.
own and use
Correct.
it, right?
Correct.
So if you buy more than 1.8 liters of alcohol from a wholesaler
For
or
sure.
grocery, they have to write a license to you.
Okay.
And you have to have that license to present. If you're moving your vehicle, this is the law of the land. And that customs need to come and check the book, and all the alcohol they receive and all the alcohol they sell is in those books. And they cross it off and take all the licenses and go. And that's how the system works when you decriminalize something. So when you're decriminalizing marijuana, you have to take responsibility for the types of marijuana that you're allowed to come into the country.
Right.
Because there are extreme strains
Strains, yes. High THC and
Yeah.
CBD content and
that
type
are
of-
literally
yes.
blowing people's
Yes,
minds,
yes, yes.
destroying their brains.
Correct.
And as I use the example of types of moonshine and Mountain Dew that you could drink. Is Mountain Dew they call it? What they call it in Trinidad? Is Mountain Dew?
Mountain Dew.
That you could
Babash.
drink and send Babash that could send you blind.
Yeah, but
So you need to be careful because that's not, you can say, oops, undo this. You
No,
can't-
but we weren't going into it with our policy that we've been talking about with the criminalization of marijuana. It's a matter of creating the proper downstream industries, the research available on the ground here in Trinidad for us to have that for
But
ourselves.
you need a license to grow it, and you need a license to provide it, you need a license to sell it, and that the Ministry of which is the ministry now, Ministry of Health.
That's in charge of it.
The people who have the
The licenses.
No, the testing. They have a Department of State, and it's slipping my mind right now, that has to test everything that is allowed for sale. That ministry.
Unlike the FDA. and
Right,
states,
right,
yeah.
right. That ministry, they have a responsibility to make sure that the
And
types of marijuana that is legal for you
Is
to
within
sell,
its
it is
quality
within the
control.
Yeah.
scope, quality control.
Right.
So not killing nobody.
Right.
There's somebody I want to bring on this show as a guest next week. Hopefully, she actually deals with and is advocating for the decriminalization of
Very
marijuana.
good.
When it's
Very-
I would have a
Which is
I don't mean
I would have a guest as
not
well.
not as in she
for that.
deals
I will
drugs.
not be on that show because I don't know anybody who deals in marijuana. And I say this now.
No,
So that everybody
very.
hear.
She's an advocate for decriminalization for the use of medicinal marijuana.
right.
Everybody
And
gets sick all of a sudden. Everybody by the doctor. Boy, prescribe this thing for me.
no, but
Actually, there is strong evidence that medicinal marijuana or marijuana under a controlled environment could deliver relief to people.
I can say that for
Yes.
fact, Phillip, simply because of the field that I'm in, within the optical field. One of the major issues for my clients is glaucoma. One of the only things on planet Earth that does not give you any type of side effects with the consumption, and it actually helped the situation where glaucoma is
CBD oil.
it's
CBD
marijuana.
oil, yeah.
It's marijuana. And this is
No,
one
he
of
actually
the,
talk about actually ingesting and smoking.
yeah, well, you don't have to smoke. You can
Yeah.
consume whether via tea or if you make it into cookies or whatever the case might
Think
be.
about the diabetic patients, cancer patients, all of these people
But
can
all of these people benefit from
People,
Benefit,
when,
yeah.
when you're on your deathbed and thing, they give you as much heroin as you want. You know,
Yeah.
it's a side, is a perk for dying.
yeah.
Right.
You could-
Fiend.
Yeah, it's
But-
your last time to be high.
No, but when you listen,
Funny.
I watch a lot of Lifetime. I mean, Game Show Network. I mean ESPN. I watch a lot of ESPN.
AKA Lifetime.
No, but when the ads for drugs,
Ridiculous, eh?
when you listen to
What's
the side
that?
effects, no, you just talk about side effects. And I was noting the other night how many of these drugs they advertise that may have suicidal thoughts.
Yes.
So I have a knee pain, but now I want to kill
Kill
myself.
myself.
How did this pass? How
It's
did
insane, man.
Food and Drug Division?
Yeah,
That's what I was
yeah.
trying to
I said
remember.
that
Food and
earlier.
Drug. Sorry.
Food and drug.
How did they say okay? So how many people killed themselves? So what is the number that's okay? You know, out of 100 people, 3 kill themselves for knee pain. That's all right. 3 okay. We'll put it down there. No,
You're lucky to be one of each.
no, but I'm just thinking, you know, that if over-the-counter drugs or pharmaceuticals,
Can come with so
Can-
many
can-
warning labels.
Yeah.
but
Why-
when you, if you're selling people something that's giving them, this may lead to an increase in thoughts of suicide.
Yeah.
How do they agree that
Right.
that's okay?
Yeah.
So you're talking about side effects. I mean, if you are at the point now where you are in so much pain and smoking weed helping you partner smoking weed, I tell people, you know, from the age of 70, all drugs should be legal. You should be able to smoke, pop, stiff, stick, whatever you want. Because, Tony, a
a
70-year-old not running you down and wait. A 70-year-old not running you down and robbing you.
But that same country that you spoke about earlier, Portugal, it is the one the number one exporter of rice or
Yeah.
producer. They have legalized or decriminalized all drugs.
Yeah.
All drugs, and they actually noted that the usage went down
The
because
usage actually did go down.
because
Because it's no longer.
yeah, it's
there's no
yeah,
longer-
there's no
It's not a
There's no
thing
longer
anymore.
rebellion. Most
Yeah.
of the use of drugs that cause addiction is rebellion in general.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you tell your child when they turn 13, this is your pack of cigarettes and you will smoke it every day, they will fight you on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very
They'll
true.
fight you because now it's not something that they wanted. That is a real.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but Phillip, in
Oh,
addition
my
to
weed
that though,
with dinner, juice, and a cigarette.
in addition to that though, the countries like that that are
take away
decriminalizing
the
and
children.
legalizing these drugs, they're also making sure that they have the facilities to deal with people who do have
Satish, what you put in
addictions.
these cups? Dealing facilities that deal with
To
it.
deal with
Yes.
people who do
Yes.
have
Who
addictions
develop
and
addiction.
who need that help from the state and such. I think it's probably time to wrap up the
No,
show. Y'all
not
getting
at
a
all.
little, y'all
But
getting
I
a little
wondered what
wild.
Satish put
No,
in
but
the cup.
that's
Listen,
great
you
points.
could be angry, you could be facetious, you could be sarcastic. At some point, something will work. At some point, something might open a trapdoor in people's brains.
Yeah.
Say, wait a minute. That makes sense. That makes something like sense. That we don't have to be this mad-ass nation.
True.
We don't.
We don't have to be. You know, we could do better.
But Philip, you know for fact, most of the solutions we have in fixing Trinidad and Tobago is straightforward solutions.
Everybody understands them. I think that's what frightens the government. And that's where all this black people talk come from, because for the first time a political movement is actually aiming salient information at the average person in a way that the average person is not only understanding that it could be fixed,
Yeah.
but they're starting to think about why it might be wrong, why it might be broken.
Yes.
Black people need to ask Keith Rowley, why are black people not doing well in a country this rich?
That's right.
Where they have Syrians and whites and Chinese that have billions of dollars. Billions. We're talking about billions. I mean, Junior Sammy Charan is flying across the world in a private jet from paving road and fixing school. That's the truth. Taking selfie in Paris.
Yeah, yeah.
How come? It's like, how do you decide as Prime Minister to give the contract to mow the lawns around HDC and UDCOT and the Brian Lara Stadium to wives of big shot businessmen and not to poor black people. You're mowing the freaking lawn.
Yep.
How is that a contract that people living in Fairways and Goodwood Park getting, and not people who living in Beetham and Laventille?
Yes.
Because if black people not doing well ketos, and you're eating all the prime cuts of beef as well as the more pedestrian ones, then what black people supposed to do? What's for them? What? What is there for the black people that Rowley says not doing well? CPEP cost the country $1 billion, but the labor for CPEP is not $100 million. That means $900 million are spent on CPEP goes to the owners of the contracts for doing jack all, but being in a fortunate position to say, hey, I'll take this one. So you have wives of ministers. And I tell Trinidadians all the time that if you audit CPEP for the companies that own CPEP contracts and audit those companies for their directors and beneficial shareholders, a lot of people in government would make a jail.
Yep.
Yes.
Like the National Lottery Control Board is the #1 money laundering enterprise in Trinidad and Tobago, and a proper audit of NLCB and who has NLCB machines and where their money coming from would again land some well-heeled shirt and tires at the president's expense.
Yes.
Do we want a better country is the real question we have to ask. Because if you could listen to a bullshit artist like Keith Rowley tell black people, it's like somebody throw you in the water and say, hey, oh, you end up in there.
That's why I didn't teach you how to swim.
Why you didn't learn how to swim?
Oh my gosh, but that is a picture perfect analogy right there.
No,
really,
it is.
it really is. Well, on that note, are we going to close up shop?
I want black people to ask Keith Rowley that question. Keithos, why black people not doing well? Let's throw that question back at you. Because you're the Prime Minister. You have access to a lot of information. You have the Central Statistical Office. The $3 trillion that passed through the country in the last 57 years, where did it go? The Auditor General, talk to him, whoever it is. Find out. Ask questions like, what proportion of black people have access to financing and credit to start and operate businesses in the country? And if they get finance to start and operate the businesses, can they access foreign exchange to fill the shelves like the 1% do? Ketos. These questions I want black Trinidadians to ask you as you've brought the conversation, and I love you for it. I love you for the fact that you brought this conversation and you said black people not doing well because Ketos, I promise you between now and election, this is all I'm talking about. You've opened this door. So you can't take me to the Equal Opportunities Commission and say I'm talking about black people. Because you started. And I will finish it, partner.
Booyah.
Shots fired.
Bra, bra.
Pew, pew.
Bad man reach. Phil.
Listen.
Bad man don't cater. You just order.
Gentlemen, none
It
of
was
this
a-
is normal.
It was none of this.
None of this is
this whole show. No, but it was an interesting show.
It was.
Yes.
I think we ran off the tracks a couple times because Felicia was in charge. And I want you all to remember who opened the show and who's about to close it.
And with that, gentlemen, this was a really good conversation today.
I think we end up with this conversation because Tony's guests didn't come.
Yeah.
We were
That's
supposed
right.
to do a show on farming and
today.
food production.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But we have those people, they're going to be coming back as well as members of the Agriculture Society and our own head of pep farms. So when we put that together, we bring to you, we're going to show you why Trinidad should be able to feed itself now and could be a net food exporter that earns us billions of dollars. And that was the show that we had planned for today. And you'll be getting that soon. But
Closing comments, Anthony Defour.
Oh, well, yes. Well, Trinidad and Tobago, it was a very phenomenal show today, our Tuesday, 30th July 2019, Plain Talk. And our topic of discussion, none of this is normal. And the show in itself today was not too normal, I have to say, but it was definitely informative. And again, you're just seeing the human side of us, just to let you know, Trinidad and Tobago, that we are just regular citizens, just like you. That is simply looking for a better Trinidad and Tobago, for us to all have hope and opportunity, every single one of us, 1.4 million of us. Just a quick footnote, on Saturday 24th of August 2019, PEP's third annual barbecue fundraiser is happening. Tickets are $50. That's going to be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and that would be at 19 Stanmore Avenue, Port of Spain. That's at the head office here, so definitely look out for that. Also, Tobago.
The all fours, you forget.
Hey, we doing all fours on that day.
course,
All
sir.
fours, boy. Somebody jack going and get hung.
And it ain't gonna be mine.
It's ain't gonna be yours either.
Aw,
Well, we go
you
see
so
now. We go see.
total.
Don't toot. But anyway, Tobago.
How is this closing comment?
Man, behave yourself.
Keep it for your segment.
Yes, exactly. Keep it for your segment. And just a
And
last
making
footnote.
notes, you see?
Tobago, we are coming to you 6 weeks. Keep that marked on your calendar. We are definitely looking at opening our, sixth office here in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, the sixth one would be basing in Tobago, so I'm putting that out there. We are in search of a location. If anyone in Tobago has somewhere that you can donate to us for a short period of time, for us to get our machinery on the ground. And again, it's about doing for the people of Tobago. And again, look out for that 6 weeks. So that's it from me, Anthony Defoe, Deputy Political Leader, and I'll take it over to Mr. Alexander.
My turn?
It's your turn
I
now.
wanna
You
say
can
it,
speak
I wanna
now.
No, but I was gonna talk about the barbecue, and he said that, so I crossed it off. And my job is also to beg for money. That we do need your support. You see a lot of what we do in this studio, Pep Media, Pep Studios. We've opened 5 offices. We're working to open the 6th office. All this costs money. All these meetings cost money. I mean, a lot of people donate a lot of stuff to us, but we still need your assistance and your help. We don't want the deep pocket finances, because at the end of the day, if we don't want to end up in government, that people come and ask, hey, in exchange for that, give me what's up. And that's what they do. That's what they do. So we don't want that. So we need you to help us buy the tickets for the barbecue. We're selling 1,000 tickets. All of the members of the Progressive Empowerment Party, the person who sells the highest tickets, there are prizes, and the house, because we have houses now that we have 4, North, East, Central, South, 4 teams operational. That the house or the hub that sells the largest amount of tickets, they get $1,000 to spend on their office. So yeah, get busy selling those tickets. And every one of the barbecues that we've had, the first one we had guests like Crazy and Morgan Job and other people just show up to be a part of the vibe, because it's always be a nice vibe. And all of Trinidad, you're invited. Come and take a part, come and take a line. This is Pep with its hair down. We don't work when we linemen, and we don't line when we working. So yeah, we need all the help you could give us financially. We need members and volunteers to get involved on the ground. Shari Wilson is the party organizer. Her deputy co-chair, Michelle Davis, has been calling for caretakers in all of the constituencies, because we want to start actually representing the people on the ground and take the fight to the political directorate, the puppets of the contract mafia, and expose all of the madness and all of the injustice taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. If you would like to bloom where you're planted, come and volunteer. We're open this Saturday at noon, 19 Stanmore Avenue. And saying that, for the first time in this country's history, on Saturday at noon, there will be 5 political meetings taking place at the same time, North, East, Central, South, and here at headquarters. So anyway, if you would like to join us in the North, 10th Avenue, Barataria; in the East, Lamppost 71, Tumpuna Road, Arima; in Central, 6A, Asaraf Road West, Charlieville. In South, we are looking for a replacement office. The office that we built didn't work out. So if you are one of those people who have some space that you would like to make available to the Progressive Empowerment Party at a peppercorn rent, or even better, free, you can message me. Last but not least, I would like to say to Felicia Holder, on your debut show, well done, great.
Aww.
Tony's closing comments upset me.
Just so?
I'm in the middle of the sentence. Tony's closing comments upset me because he did so well. And I feel like this is all I bring to the party. And if other people could do this, then they don't need me. And I will have to go my way. So Tony,
Oh, you feel slick. You're trying to
stop being so good. Stop being so good. Now, Trinidad and Tobago, it's always a pleasure being a part of this team. Satish Ramsaran, Baxter Cutman, the rest of Pep Media and Pep Studios. And I mean, Satish, you all see the job that this man is doing, the work that has been put out to get this to you. And I like to thank him and all of the members. No, Satish, you don't get to say anything until you get a mic and a camera. I'd like to thank all the members and all the supporters and all of Trinidad and Tobago for standing up and standing with us. We have a mountain to climb here to break the whole of the contract mafia, the backroom boys that has destroyed this country using puppet political parties. And with your help, we will get it done.
Why, thank you, Philip, and thank you, Tony, for those lovely closing remarks. And again, my name is Felicia Holder. I'm the chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party. This is my first time doing the opening and the closing of this show. Thank you very much for joining us for this very insightful edition of Plain Talk. And until next time, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.